Lori Vallow just faced a family tragedy, not a crime. At least that's what she's alluding to in this new interview recorded at the jail just before her trial starts. I'll have a link to it in the pinned comments, and I highly recommend you watch it. You might want to go ahead and subscribe to the channel too, because it sounds like from their pinned comments we might be getting a follow-up interview, and if we do, oh boy. This video, however, is my thoughts on that interview, my thoughts on what she says and her motivations, because this is happening just before her trial. When Lori was asked about why she is representing herself, she focused on how she had been to so many jails, and some women in this jail have been held for so many years, and she wants her speedy trial. The reason to me seems pretty simple. Jail is worse than prison. And Lori is only going to be in one of those two places, so she wants to be in that prison and stay in that prison as fast as possible. Now, saying jail is worse than prison is just an average. There are exceptions, such as I would say the J6 pod in the DC jail, because some inmates who had been to prison before talked about it was better to delay and be in the jail instead of facing prison because it was better there. They would call out nightly, sometimes drunk from the jail. They recorded a podcast in the jail. They released videos of guards and making fun of them. If a fight broke out, it seemed they would target the victim to be removed and rather than the person who started the fight. But this is the exception, not the norm, but I know some people followed all that and might think jails are just better than prisons. Not on average. Now, Lori puts it as if she's not only fighting for herself, but for the other inmates having a speedy trial as a way to kind of martyr herself and make herself look better, of course. I really just think she wants to go to a prison. Lori's attorneys wanted to do a good job, that they needed to do. To adequately represent her required delaying things, and she didn't want that. I don't think her goal was ever to win. I think it's to get back to a comfortable prison. She repeatedly talks about how people get stuck in jails due to waiving speedy trial, and I think that's something we should remember during this whole thing. She just wants to go back to prison. Now, there was a statement by Lori that I feel like I have to quote, because it says a lot. There are intelligent, strong, beautiful women in here that have been here for 8 years because of family tragedies. It's the same like my case, a family tragedy, not a crime, a family tragedy. And they're waiting and they're facing the death penalty for a family tragedy. I don't know if this is a wording she has used before and I have just missed it. As like, it's not a crime, it's a tragedy. All of this is a tragedy. And you might be thinking, is she just talking about like kids? Later, I believe I have in my notes, she mentions a chain of family tragedies. That's what she's doing for all of these murders, referring to them as family tragedies. The journalist does press her on the family tragedy part and says Lori was convicted of killing her kids. And Lori says wrongly convicted, and the journalist did a good job, kept pressing and asked what happened, but off screen, it's muted. The attorney basically tells her not to answer. In their pinned comment, it explains that I believe the first one Lori doesn't answer, and the second one Lori answers, but the attorney asks it to be muted, and they can talk about it after the trial. We'll get to the second one too. It's pretty crazy. Later, Lori did talk about a domino effect of tragedies in her life, but she wouldn't elaborate. So yeah, family tragedies is how she's referring to all these cases. Lori says she isn't a fighter, so it is hard for her to fight for herself and these other women, because of course she has to try to martyr herself. Lori wants to talk to people face to face. She says lied about her. So if you were thinking she's going to basically use this as retribution against people, sounds like it. Because really, couldn't she have just said, I plead guilty to get over this quickly? But she's not. Lori was asked if she believes in light and dark spirits. Does she believe in the zombies? And the journalist got her answer, and it's muted. Maybe you can read the lips, but it's muted because the attorney requested it. I really hope we get to know later. Lori does still consider herself to be with Chad. Lori's talk of the interactions with the other women in the jail. It sounds like how Sarah Boone's character witnesses would describe her, try to paint her time in jail, how much she helps them and gets along. Lori doesn't know if she will testify yet, and she says she isn't there to convince the jury. She'll just tell the truth. I think she's there not only to get out of it quickly, she doesn't want to plead guilty. I think she wants to get through it quickly. And I think she wants to harass people. Make a little spectacle of it before she's off to prison for good. Lori says her life is almost over. She's 51 years old. She compares herself living in a prison as if you're like being offered to go on a religious mission from a bishop for the rest of your life to save people. Because of course she does. Lori got asked at the very end, what should the public know about Lori they don't already know? She says she's a Christian person and then flew into generic Christian drivel, right? That's really funny, Lori. Are you gonna talk about, you gonna try to, like, how do I want to put this? She's trying to paint this like, oh, I'm just your average Christian that believes in zombies and dark spirits, and that's why we had repeated family tragedies, and that's why everyone around me seems to die, except for her husband that's she's still saying she's with, even though they will never see each other again, I would assume, in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, again, if you haven't watched my previous video, trial starts on Monday. There was some confusion because I used Pacific time to say when it started. Twofold in that. Number one, you can always convert to your time frame. Number two, Arizona doesn't follow like the Arizona time for this trial is going to be the same as Pacific, even though Arizona is technically not Pacific. It's I looked it up. I was confused too. So just you can convert it. If you're worried about it, the live streams will be scheduled tomorrow, Sunday. I assume by most media, they'll tell you when it starts. Remember, the trial's on a 30-minute delay, so if you're watching and you don't want spoilers or something crazy happens in the trial, turn off your news apps. Don't have those pop up because you'll get told ahead of time. I know watching it live is going to be something a lot of people want to do. Again, in this channel, I'm planning to do coverage of the actual case after the fact. I'll do a summary video with my thoughts and with notes of all the important parts and try to get that out as soon as possible at the end. I think that's kind of a nice idea to do. Also, it does give somewhere for people where they can go into the chat after watching the trial for the day. Because, the trial ends, the live streams from the court cases ends. My chat would be open for the premiere for however long that is to discuss it, along with the comments below the video. So that's all planned for next week. I'm not really surprised, I would say. I'm not really surprised with the approach she's taking. I think the approach she's taking is she wants to be out of there as soon as possible. And she's going to make a spectacle of it while there. I think that's what she's going to do. I really think this is going to be like her final retribution chance. Some people disagree. I've watched other people coverage Lori Vallow. They don't think that's what she's doing. I get that vibe. I get that vibe a lot. I get that vibe that she's going to do this as like her final call out moment because it's all she's got, right? Like she does this trial, she does the next trial, and then no one ever has to think about her again, essentially. Because she's not going to win on the appeals. I don't think anyone assumes that. So she views her life as almost over. Why not cause problems now? I still wonder about if she's going to purposefully have her shock vest triggered. I would not put it past her. But we'll see. Do I think she'll take the stand? I'd say it's up in the air. My guess is she probably wants to say her piece and say things the way she wants, but I don't think she wants to deal with the questions that the defense would ask. So the prosecution would ask. So I don't know if she'll do it or not. I think if she doesn't do it, she'll probably say she regrets not doing it. And in any post interview she does. But just wanted to give you that update. The interview's out there. It's enlightening, like, for her current state of mind. And I really wish those muted moments didn't get muted. If she had done that interview without her attorney, we could have had some real insights. That's what I have to say. It could have been so much more.